sense, we've been telling you about a Swiss man who was at contact with what he says are over 100 times with aliens from a place called Plejaren, which is a planet somewhere in our galaxy out there. And he's just published a book with all kinds of pictures and all kinds of texts about that contact he's had.
By a Swiss farmer named Billy Meier. Meier has hundreds of other photos and some metal fragments from the spaceship. The photos that are not in the current book are still being tested, and so are the metal fragments. Marcel Vogel, a research scientist with IBM, tells us about one piece of metal that he examined under an electron microscope.
It's a very unusual combination from a metallurgical standpoint. I've shown these to metallurgists, and they shake their heads. And the most unusual thing is the purity of these metals in adjacency to one another without their cross-contamination. They're very sensitive to light, and as soon as I expose them to intense light from my microscope, the metal oxidizes very rapidly and just breaks down. I've never seen that. This really took me back. That only happened on Friday. And then going back in tonight, I'm having another go at observing and measuring that.
Okay, Dr. Vogel, could you tell us about your background briefly?
Good. I'm a senior scientist with IBM in the General Products Division laboratories at Monterey and Cottle Road. My work has been from earliest childhood in the study of the conversion of energy inside of crystals. I started at the age of 7 on the exploration of bioluminescence, of firefly, the light of the firefly, and by 11 I was synthesizing the chemical that made the firefly glow, the 3-amino-thallose 1,4-dione. It's a chemical analog to that which is in the firefly, and from that point on I've focused my life on the study of luminescence, the conversion of energy in crystals. The materials that are in your color television, that are fluorescent lamps, and built my own corporation in this, and then developed for IBM the magnetic disk coding memory system, which now IBM uses throughout the world in their disk memories. I've developed the coding. We hold the basic patents for this material, and I've been into the field of material science all of my life. For the past 20 years, since 1960, I've developed a skill in optical microscopy because I wanted to study liquid crystal systems. I said there would be a very important new discoveries made in liquid crystals. These will be useful in watches, display devices, and I proceeded to develop these materials for IBM. With that, I have put together probably the most complete optical microscopic gear, about almost $250,000 in optical microscopes. And this brings us to the present point where I was contacted in April by Mr. Jim Delatosa, and they told me about this unusual sighting in Switzerland by Mr. Meier. I've had a rather negative feeling towards UFOs because I said, unless I have something physical that I can get my hands on, just reported sightings and things like that have no interest to me. And from a human interest standpoint, I said, fine, I'll see what I can do to investigate these specimens that were left by these contacts. And so Mr. Delatosa contacted Mr. Stevens, and he wrote to me the letter and sent me 3 specimens.
And did you analyze all?
Yes, I did. If you want now, I can show you some of the results that we got with the first specimen that was given to us. It is silvery, as you can see, in color. It looks like it has been melted. This is the raw specimen which was mounted in plastic, lapped and polished in Switzerland. And now you can see this metal in its pristine state. It is remarkable. We will now illuminate it by oblique illumination. It has many facets of color to it. Taking out the analyzer to bring out some more of the metallic sheen and luster to it. As one goes to higher magnifications on this specimen, one will see other fascinating details. This type of research takes many hours to fully exemplify. We'll look at the backside of this specimen now. This is the backside of the specimen, and under cross-field polarized light, one does see these white crystalline birefringent deposits. The luminous area to the right is just a reflective glare from the light source, as one can see here, but we're dealing now with polarized light, and there is this area illuminated. One side is highly metallic, the other has some forms of crystalline occlusions attached to it. I'm using no objective lens in the Zeiss Ultrafo 3B, and am using what is called a pH position, bringing in a Bertrand lens.